This is video 10 of the Cadet Training Plan Instructional Series. In this video, we will demonstrate instructor and classroom assignment tools of the Master Scheduler, as well as how to manage Year 5 Cadet schedules. We'll start by reviewing the instructor and locations lists and get those populated and ready to go, and then we'll get into those instructor and location assignments. Starting with the Add Instructors, then we're going to be clicking on this button, again noting that Year 5 cadets are already added to that instructor list. And when we click on this Add Instructors, they won't appear here because this is for instructors other than Year 5 cadets. So we simply open up this screen, and one of the first things we can do is we can import staff from our staff list by clicking here. This saves you from having to retype those names. If there's any staff in this list who won't be instructing, then we can simply delete them from this list, and that's quicker than retyping everyone else. From here, once we've got those staff added in, we can look at cadets other than Year 5 cadets who will be instructing. So this would be perhaps Year 6 cadets or Year 4 cadets and so on. So I'm just going to add those cadets in now. And I'm just going to put in a couple of those cadets just to satisfy the demonstration. And once we're complete, we would simply hit Exit. Now you notice they all populate into the instructor list, and we've got a particular sorting order so that you can always know where to look in the list for a particular group when you're trying to select an individual. So we've got cadets other than Year 5 cadets listed at the top in alphabetical sorting. Then we've got your Year 5 cadets, and then we have staff appearing at the bottom of the instructors list. From there, we can take a look at our locations. Locations, very simple, works a lot like that instructors list. You simply type in the locations. Oops. So we've got our parade square. You can even divide your parade square into halves if you want, so that you don't get conflicts if you've got more than one class going on at a time. And then your classrooms. Whatever your various training areas are going to be, and when you're done, you hit Exit. And as you can see, our class locations have been updated, and we've got our class locations available. I'm going to turn on my Show Year 5 cadets. That Level 5 field will disappear, and in place we've got our Year 5 cadets with their individual schedules. Just a reminder, what we talked about at the end of our last video, the scheduling priority for those Year 5 cadets are mandatory classes. Once you have those scheduled, you want to work in their instructor assignments. With their other available periods, then you look to those required complementary classes they need to complete, and from there you've got your OJT and other optional assignments. If I want to assign an individual instructor to a period, I simply click on that instructor and I assign them into that period by double-clicking on the instructor assignment field. And there I've got a Sergeant Square, and you can see how the highlighting works. If he had additional periods assigned to him, then we would see him highlighted throughout there. I could continue assigning an instructor a period at a time, but that is a little bit labor intensive. So we have the autofill instructors tool, and I can then click here, and I can choose my instructor. Here he is, and I'm going to then have this instructor teach Level 1, POM 107, and then I'm going to fill in the instructor. I get the completion box, and I close the form. And so we can see for all the periods of M107, I've got Sergeant Square assigned. If he was also doing complementary 107, I would have to do that separately. Now that was scheduling an instructor that was not a Year 5 cadet. Let's take a look at making an assignment with a Year 5 cadet. So I'm going to go in, again, autofill instructors. I'm going to use the filters that I require. So we're going to do Sergeant Black here, Year 5 cadet. Again, level 1, and this time it's going to be M108. And fill in instructor. Now I start to, it's looking at Sergeant Black's schedule, comparing it with what else is going on, and you're going to be presented with any conflicts to look at and see what you want to do. And we get the completion message. We'll just click OK. We'll close the form. And we can see that Sergeant Black is not only filled in here, but this period of instruction is now showing on Sergeant Black's schedule with an I in front of it, and that I means that's a period of instruction for this cadet. Now let's just sort of look at the example if we need to replace an instructor, how we can use the autofill tools. So let's look at M107 and Sergeant Square, and let's just say we need to replace him with another instructor. So we're going to choose the instructor that we're wanting to replace, and that is Sergeant Square. We're going to choose option 2. We're going to find our replacement instructor, which is going to be Warrant Officer Triangle. We're talking about level 1, and the only PO available is M107 because that's all we've scheduled so far. And we're going to click fill in. We get the completion message. We'll close the form, and we see that Warrant Officer Triangle now is scheduled as the instructor in place of Sergeant Square. Now let's take a look at instructor conflicts and how those appear. So for example, here I've got Warrant Officer Triangle selected to instruct here in the first period in Year 1. If I take Warrant Officer Triangle and I put him in as the instructor for period 1 at the same time, see right away as soon as I try and schedule that, I'm getting a red flag to show that there is in fact a conflict. If I want some more information on that conflict, it's fairly obvious. I can double click here on Warrant Officer Triangle's name. I see all the instructional assignments for Warrant Officer Triangle, and I can click here and it's showing me, telling me exactly what the conflict is. Simply exit out of there, deselect that instructor, and select another instructor. No problem. If it's a conflict with a Year 5 cadet, there's two kinds of conflicts that we can run into with Year 5 instructors, and you'll get a pop-up box immediately asking you to make a decision with respect to both of them. So let's take the first one where we've got Sergeant Black instructing here in period 2 for Year 1, and we're going to assign him to be instructing at the same time for level 2. So I'll pick Sergeant Black over here, double click in the instructor, and right away I'm getting a conflict notice for Year 5 cadets. So it comes up differently because we're also managing that cadet schedule individually, and it's asking me if I want to proceed, and if so, then Sergeant Black will be unscheduled for that other period and put into this one. So I'm going to say no, I don't want to do that. I would then go and find another available instructor is what I would likely need to do in this situation. Or I could say yes and find another instructor to schedule here. Let's also take a look at a situation where this Year 5 cadet has a mandatory class that he has to take. So I'm going to come here to M307. I'm going to find Sergeant Black, and I'm going to schedule Sergeant Black as the instructor here. At the same time, he's got a mandatory class here. Right away I get a conflict pop-up indicating that there's something conflicting in Sergeant Black's schedule for this assignment. It tells me specifically Sergeant Black is already scheduled for M50701A. If I want to proceed, 50701A will be unscheduled for Sergeant Black. And so this will allow you to unschedule a mandatory class for this individual cadet only, and that mandatory class then will be required to be rescheduled for this cadet. So I'm going to say yes, I do want to proceed, and there Sergeant Black does go in, and we see the instructional assignment appear on his schedule. Now if I come down here under Sergeant Black's schedule and I right click on this open period, we're going to see that M507 is right here in the list of EOs that need to be scheduled for this instructor. So it's been unscheduled for this cadet only. That class is still here for the other level 5s. And for this cadet, I would need to find a place to reschedule and catch that cadet back up on their mandatory classes. So we're going to move on then to look at locations and how to schedule locations for classes. We will continue this instructional segment in our next video.